Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, back in the shop after the holidays, and I'm working on some cutting boards, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you some new tools in Lightburn that have to do with fonts, text editing, and just the overall layout with the text editors. Hang around, we're going to create this. So a lot of you have been working with Lightburn for a while now. You've done fonts, you've done layouts, and you think you've got it all figured out. Well, I promise you there's going to be at least one or two or three things in this video you've never seen before. And what I'm going to show you is how I laid this out, how I set up the formatting for this. So I've got everything aligned here and here, and then this one is center justified. And Lightburn will do all this for you if you just put a little thought into your input as you're putting the file together. So let's jump over to Lightburn, and we're going to set up this file from scratch and show you how this works. All right, so we're going to design this cutting board start to finish. And I don't know how much I'll get into the graphic design on my little seal up there, but I want to show you a lot of things that have to do with the fonts, the font settings, and the capabilities of Lightburn when working with fonts that you don't see anybody talking about, and even Lightburn kind of glazes over them. Let's jump into Lightburn, and we'll just start up here in the font tools. So if I select a font, and I'm just going to put out here right now just Hobo with Wood, so we can start to look at these tools and what they do. I'm going to put this on a fill mode so we can see a little bit better. Now, you already know how to change your fonts, I hope. There's your drop-down menu, and here's all the fonts that you have on your computer. Whatever font you have loaded in your computer, Lightburn is going to recognize. If you want to install a new font in Lightburn, you simply install that font on your computer, and Lightburn will then see that new font, and you don't have to load it into Lightburn. You may need to close Lightburn and reopen Lightburn after you've installed the font on your computer, but I don't think it's always necessary. But if you don't see it after loading it in your computer, simply shut down Lightburn, reopen it, and you'll see it. But there's some things about this font selection that you probably don't know. I mentioned this in a previous video. This is something that's fairly new. Your fonts are listed alphabetically, but if you have, like I do, a tremendous amount of fonts on here, and a lot of them you're never going to use in Lightburn, but there's about half a dozen that you always use. In Lightburn, you have the ability right here, I have a favorites. These are my favorites, these are the recently used, and these are all fonts. So right now in my favorite file, I have my Arial Black, Baskerville, Old Face, Brush Script, Elephant, and Freshman. I want to get a script. I want to get a calligraphy file. So let's move this over here where we can see it. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to come down and find... Actually, I like Bradley handwritten too. So I'm going to select that. Now that I've got that selected in the font up here, I'm going to right click and come right down here, add to favorites. Now, if I come back in here to my font selection, and I got elephant on there, whatever, anything, I don't have to scroll all the way down here to find that It's right here in my favorites. Bradley, hand, right there, done. So if you've only got just 6 or 12 of your favorite fonts that you use all the time, simply put it in this Adelia. We'll put that in there. I've put that font in there. Once it's in there, right-click it and add to favorites. Then when you look in your drop-down menu, favorites, there it is. If you no longer want that in your favorites, with that highlighted, right-click. Come on now. I'm sorry. Same thing. You got it in there, right-click, remove from favorites. And now it's no longer going to be in your favorite file. Now, here's something that you may not know. If you go to the General Settings, your gears, then you come here to File Settings. You can change your default font to anything that you have if you're something that you use all the time. If you've got your one absolute favorite, right now it may be Arial, which is maybe the default. You can change it to whatever you want it to be. We'll change it to brush script. You can change your default height, the size of the font. Change it to, we're going to say, make it 37. And then say OK. And now, whenever you open your font, let's see, you may have to, in order for that to take place, settings to take effect, you may have to close Lightburn. Let's delete that. Let's see here. Go to fonts. Yep. Close Lightburn. We're going to open Lightburn. And now when you go into fonts, there you go. Now it's in brush script. So once you've changed your settings, you have to close Lightburn and reopen it to get it to take effect. Hobo with wood. All right. So there is how you pick your fonts, how you can pick a favorite font, go into the gears and go into the disk down here, file settings, to change your default fonts and your default height. Now, once you've changed those, you can still edit these just like you've always been able to, change in different fonts and change your height and size. But your H space and your vertical space. Now, your H space is horizontal spacing. Now here, if we look real close at the Hobo with wood, it's a script and they're welded together. And if we increase our horizontal spacing, it's going to break them apart. They're no longer connected. You don't want to do that with handwrittens or script fonts, but you may find that whenever you're using something like the Arial Black and you need to increase or decrease, don't want to change the size. We want to change the horizontal spacing. Sorry about that. You can squeeze them together if you need to make room for something. You can actually weld these by continuing to bring those in if you've got this right here turned on, welded. It will automatically weld. Right now, if that's not turned on, as you squeeze those together, they're just going to overlap, and that's not going to engrave properly. But if you turn on welded, it will weld those pieces automatically, and you've got a nice piece that you can engrave as is. So that's your horizontal spacing. But if we have two lines, your V spacing or vertical spacing will bring those lines closer together or further apart. Now, you have all these other, and let's put this on a different font. Let's go with, we'll go with the handwritten. And we'll go put our H spacing back to 0. And we'll put our vertical spacing to 0. You also have the ability to make your font bold, italic, all uppercase. Right now this is not all uppercase, but we can switch it and that will automatically put all caps on. Now I'll tell you, if you're not aware of this, whenever you're creating a sign if you can see this right now for yourself, most people can, all caps like you see presented to you here is not as easy to read as with just the first letter capitalized. That is easier for most individuals to read than all caps. This distort feature is a feature used whenever we're applying text to path and wrapping it around a curve, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. But now we have a line X and a line Y. And I want to start from scratch. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out a rectangle. And rectangle, there we go. Put it on a toolpath. And I'm going to first type in here. I'm going to use two lines of text. Let's do, this is middle. And we need to change the layer, not that layer. Put that back on the toolpath. Now select black layer and our font. And we're going to do middle. And I'm going to change my font so it's easier to see. Middle, align, and middle, align. And we'll put that on Arial black so you can see it real good. I'm going to shift, put that in the center of that. There we go. So that's middle align, middle align. I'm going to shrink that down a little bit because we're going to need more room. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to my text tool, select my font, or my text tool rather, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change a line left. And I'm going to leave the align middle Y alone. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type left align, middle align. Now I'm coming back to my text tool and I'm going to change my line X to a line right. Well, I did not mean to do that. Undo. I keep, like right now I don't think that's selected, but it is. So you got to deselect that, turn that off. Now going back here, select your font, align right, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do right align and middle align. See the difference there? This is where you do your justification. Do you want left justification, right justification, or center justification? And different people use justification or align depending on what you're taught, when you're taught it. But to me, it's left justified, right justified, and then middle justified. Now this Y align Y middle is for when you're applying it to a path. And we'll look at that when we look at distort. But when you're doing something like this cutting board, here I did left justification, right justification, and then center justification. And that's the way I thought that it looked best on this particular layout. Some folks would rather have all left justification, all left justification, so all those are lined up with the numbers on top of each other. I just like this look better myself, and it is all personal preference, and it is mine, so that's the reason I did it that way. Now, some folks would have you go, in fact, we'll do this. We'll say, let's just get rid of all this. If you don't change any of that and you left it at middle, if you're going to do 4 lines of text, let's say In fact, a lot of this comes up a lot. Like I just did my rules for women. Rule number 1. And then create a second layer or line 2. Rule number 2. And then they'd have you come down and do 3. Rule number 3. And then once you had all 3 of those, you could select them all and then do left alignment. And now they're all lined up on the left side. Just so happens they're all the exact same length, so you can't really tell. But if we just did this right here, and now select them and line them left, there you go. Now you'd have them all left justification. But now you've got 3 different lines of text where you can do this. Now this is something you've never seen again, or never seen before. I'm almost promise it. We're going to set up this recipe. Lost the word there for a second. So I'm going to start typing my very first line of text. I'm selecting my font, and I'm going to use 1 cup margarine. Now, I know that I want these to be left justified, so I'm going to select left. Then I'm going to give my next line, so I'm going to do enter. But it's not going to let me do that. I should have selected my left justification first, and then hit. So there I got left. Now I'm going to go back into font, and now I can hit enter. There we go. So to do that correctly, delete that. You go to your text tool, then select where you want it to be. I want it to be left. Then you begin your typing. So 1 cup of margarine. Enter. 1 cup of brown sugar. Now where's that part that you ain't never seen before? I hear you. Right here. A lot of people hate setting up text, especially when it's lots of text on this format, on the workbench like this. All you have to do is come right in here and right-click, selector tool, select it, right-click, edit text shape. And it's going to open up like a word processor. 1 cup of margarine, 1 cup of brown sugar, enter, 1 teaspoon of salt, one teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup of oats, and now you can change your font here. If you don't like this Arial Black, which I don't want it in this particular instance, I'm going to use Baskerville Old Face. You can change your font right here, and you can see that preview behind your text shape editor. But now I'm going to use that font. I don't want them bold, so we're going to leave those alone, but you can change your height, change your spacing, vertical spacing, and you can change your alignment here as well. But I'm going to leave this alone with left justification. Say OK. Done. So that's set up. I'm going to grab my middle there and set it over here out of the way. I'm going to grab my font tool again. I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to change it to right justification. I have to deselect that. I wished when you clicked on that it would automatically deselect it, but that's still selected. I don't know why it stays selected. That's deselected. Now grab my font tool. Now come back up here and click right, and now I can come back over here and start typing my next group, not capitals, 1 cup of white sugar, And now that's going to be way over there, so I'm going to move it over here where I think it's going to be, kind of, sort of. And now right click, open my edit text shape, 2 eggs, unbeaten, 1.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon, baking soda. And that's aligned right, and say OK. And now I can just grab both of the, not cap locks, shift, grab those, align to the top, and those are now ready to go. But let's say you've now set these up and you're looking at it and you say, I don't like that like that. Say OK, select that, right click, edit text shape, and we'll move this over here so we can see it, align left. And now it's going to line everything up on the left side. And say OK, and bring that over here and see if that's what you like better. Hold shift, select that, align it to the top, done. So that's probably something new, that edit text shape, adding fonts, favorites, changing your default fonts. Now, we'll take it on down. We're going to come back here, nothing selected. I'm going to select my text tool. We're going to go back to middle and come down here, and now we can just start typing the baking instructions. Cream butter until light, period. Select it, right click, edit text shape, and now add white and brown sugar. Next line, work in until, and I spelled that wrong. And this is what it would be nice is if they had a spell correct on here, but I'm told that's extremely difficult to do with Lightburn, so probably never see that happen. Work in until fluffy. One thing you could do though, and I'll show you here, work in until fluffy. Add unbeaten eggs and vanilla. Stirring after each egg. What you could do, and that's not supposed to be a period, that's supposed to be a comma. What you could do, if you're using your edit text shape like this, once you've got all the instructions typed in there, select it all, copy it, and then go and paste that into any software you have that does have spell check, even if it's nothing more than your email. And then once you've proofed it and had the spell check it for you, you can, if you need to copy the corrections out of it, copy those, bring them back in here to the edit text shape editor, paste the new corrected version in it, and you're back to where you need to be. So let's see here. I'm going to do these real quick. Stir in flour, beating, not bratting, beating, not braiding. So that's why we need spell check. Beating as you add. Add oats and mix thoroughly. Drop by teaspoonful, drop by teaspoon, teaspoonful, on, and I don't need that space in there, on cookie sheet, cook 10 to fat finger 10 to 12 minutes in oven at 300 and not 32, not 3,000, 350 degrees. Now the degrees shortcut, I think it's one. Well, I don't even want to guess at it. We're going to come down here real fast, and we're going to actually we'll just drag this over here. And keyboard shortcut for degree symbol, yeah, 0176. I knew it was 176. I forgot the O. So right here, if we hold our Alt button and 0176, we'll create the little degree symbol up there. Cooked at 10 to 12 minutes in oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Makes 80 cookies. And now with that being done in middle, this is all center justified. You can say okay. Now we can grab that and bring it down here. And we might space this out a little bit. Space that out a little bit. Now shift that, align them to the top. Now we'll group those and then hold our shift button, grab this one, center it, and now we'll temporarily group those, and now we'll shrink it down to approximate size. And I just like seeing that aligned on the right. So I'm going to ungroup that. I'm going to select that one, right click, edit text shape, and just tell it right. Now move it back over where I think I like it. See, I like the look of that so much better. Align top, group that, and align center. There we go. So there is the recipe. Now we're going to grab our text tool and we're going to put in here world's best oatmeal cookies. Go to my favorite. We'll do brush. I'm going to make it bigger. Align it to the center. All right. So that right there is pretty well said and done. So I'm going to end this video here and not going into the design of the seal because we're getting long in the tooth on this one. I'll do a follow-up video where I show how I create this using, and also showing you how to use the distort feature on text when on curved text, comparing that to assigning or aligning text to path versus curving text. There's some different options you can do that to create a logo like that. And I'll do that on a follow-up video. I'll also be coming out this week with a video on node editing. One of my regular viewers and contributors to Laser Maker's Realm and Hobo with Wood asked about the difference between trimming and deleting when in node editing. And I'll be going over that in detail, along with the extend, the align, rotating, all kinds of features that you do whenever you're using node editing and working with nodes. That'll be coming up in the second video. So guys, I really hope that you're still with me here, that I haven't lost a bunch of you. It's really frustrating to see the analytics on these 30-minute videos and average watch time is 10 minutes. I know people are watching, It's just that jumping and hopping and skipping around. And when you get to this point and you know I'm wrapping it up, you turn it out. You tune it off. But if you're still here, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Because it is those watch hours that add up, that help pay the bills. But really what keeps this channel going, and I wouldn't be here without them, are my patrons. Please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com/hobowithwood. The patrons are what keep this channel going and keep the lights on in this shop. Wouldn't be here without them. I would have thrown in the towel probably a year ago. But thank God for the patrons and that have blessed me and keep this channel growing. Patrons, gold patrons, get 100% off all of my files on hobowithwood.com. If you've thought about buying stuff on hobowithwood.com, patrons are getting those files for free. Gold patrons. Silver patrons, 80% off. Bronze patrons, 60% off. If you're not up for doing a full-time regular supporter on Patreon, by becoming a patron, consider going down to the super thanks below and throwing a little something in the kitty. Be greatly appreciated. I really enjoy making these videos, but if I can't keep the lights on and can't keep the power paid, then I won't have a computer to do it with. So every little bit helps, and it is greatly appreciated. I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we talk about designing this logo. And until then, I'm Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm out.